WALL-E is one of my favorite Pixar movies, right behind Monster Inc. and The Incredibles. It came out over 10 years ago now and tells the story of the last robot of the WALL-E line left on Earth by the By and Large Corporation to clean it up. This plan doesn't go so well, and the story begins 700 years after the humans left Earth in their luxury space cruisers. WALL-E is visited by an advanced robotic explorer named Eva, who goes to Earth in search of plant life. WALL-E falls in love, and the movie goes on to show us the adventure of these two strange robots. But one thing that is never explained to us is why we only see one WALL-E. In fact, we only get a few references to him being the last WALL-E, and in one very short scene we get to see a field full of the bodies of old WALL-Es out of commission. So what happened, and why is there only our WALL-E left? The first thing we need to define is whether he's really the only one left. I mean, there could be some other WALL-E somewhere else on the planet, right? Well, logic would dictate yes, but it turns out that we've already had it confirmed on at least 2 separate occasions that WALL-E is indeed the last active robot on Earth. First, Pixar's character encyclopedia mentions that after 700 years there is only one active WALL-E left, and that is the one we see in the film. Furthermore, at the beginning of the comic book that recounts the events of the film, this fact is also confirmed through the narration. So we are sure that there is only one WALL-E left alive. Now the question is, why? Well, there are several theories about this. One of them, for example, focuses on the original concept from which the movie was born. What if the humans left Earth and the last ones forgot to shut down the last robot? Proponents of this theory argue that when By and Large's plan to clean up failed and the humans abandoned the operation, all the WALL-Es were deactivated, and for some reason this one was not deactivated. Another theory is much simpler and holds that by mere probability, some WALL-E must have been the last one at some point in history, and the WALL-E we see is only the last one by sheer luck. Several years ago, another rather popular theory emerged that our WALL-E was actually a psychopath who killed all the other WALL-Es in a centuries-long killing spree, which is why the Earth is still so polluted after 700 years. This theory uses as its main proof the times we see WALL-E self-repairing with parts from other dead robots, making this look like cannibalism. I mean, keeping in mind that WALL-E is capable of feeling emotions, it's a bit disturbing that he uses body parts from his former companions in such a normal way. If we change the context and imagine a human being collecting human body parts while listening to music and dancing around them, we have a horrible scene out of a movie about a serial killer. But this is actually the only real evidence presented. The originator of the theory argues that it was our WALL-E's tendency to collect interesting or shiny objects that started his killing spree. Because as he saw the other WALL-E units destroying and compacting everything, including objects he wanted to keep, he began destroying all the other WALL-Es as he saw that they were too different from him. And while the theory is definitely interesting, I really don't think it can hold water for a myriad of reasons. But I really only have to mention one. One of the central elements of the film is that WALL-E, a trash collecting robot, developed a real personality, characterized by his empathy and desire to connect emotionally with another robot. This theory instead paints us a sociopathic serial killer, which is the complete opposite of what WALL-E actually is. In fact, WALL-E doesn't mind losing his items, even the most precious ones like the plant, because when EVA takes it, WALL-E just misses it and that's it. No crazy or out of tune reactions. Another thing to keep in mind is that some humans were still on Earth when the cleanup operation with the WALL-E was declared a failure, and they would have definitely noticed some robot serial killer. They would have either destroyed it or deactivated it, and since WALL-E is still here, we know that neither happened. So it's clear to us that it's not a killer cannibalizing robot, it's just a cannibalizing robot, but with a conscience. Which is curious, isn't it? It's never really explained to us where his consciousness or emotions came from, but it's clear that he's unique because of that. We know that all the WALL-E robots were created solely for the purpose of cleaning, with very basic intelligence, with no need for emotions. Then, at some point during the last 700 years, all robots began to lose their functionality, except for a single machine that had somehow developed a conscience. Logic would dictate that this unique fact was directly related to its particular survival skills, skills we see in its abnormally high self-preservation instinct. WALL-E is self-repairing, has a shelter that takes care of him from the elements, and basically behaves like someone who actually values his life. and it is apparent that these instincts are part of his conscience, his personality. At the end of the movie, when Wall-E is switched back to his original state, he has no sense of humor and no personality, he just serves his purpose and doesn't even pry. This option that it was his conscience that was the reason he is still alive I really like, and most likely has a lot to do with the actual answer. But we'll come back to this in a few minutes, because there is yet another possibility. Reddit user Kilts made a very interesting post a few years ago dedicated to destroying the theory that Wall-E killed everyone. Kilts watched the movie about 10 times, 2 of them with the director's commentary, and noticed something that opens up new possibilities for us. It turns out that if the ending of the Wall-E video game for PlayStation 2 is Wall-E saving Eva from the giant garbage can using his laser, in the movie it's the other way around, and it's Eva who saves Wall-E. This wouldn't matter if it weren't for a line said by the director in the film's commentary. We were ready to get the film out, but in the last month I decided to have Eva save Wall-E. The audience had to see that she had changed, and that she had developed emotions. So I explained that to my team and they agreed that it was the best decision. It was very difficult to get the change ready in time, but we did it. And well, it just so happens that the game had been developed and finished before the movie came out, and the developers had to ask the director about several plot points before doing scenes in the game, since in fact, the game ended up coming out a bit before the movie. All of this is important because the game has something the movie doesn't have: a prologue. The game opens with Wall-E in a routine checkup along with the other Wall-Es, which functions as a tutorial. We see a land without humans, with the robots being checked through other machines and voice recordings. Suddenly, as soon as the review is over, the Wall-Es see a giant sandstorm coming towards them and must hide. Our Wall-E runs for his life, evidently separated from the others, who go in neat rows, and he gets to the truck where he hides in the movie first. The game jumps to 700 years later, and while it's not clear what happened after the sandstorm, it's pretty obvious from that level that the only one who made it out alive was our Wall-E. This answers several questions and reveals what the director had in mind. In fact, in the commentary he said that there was a good explanation for the death of the other Wall-Es, but it wouldn't be in the movie. So mystery solved, right? Not so much. Something you probably didn't know is that in addition to a video game and a movie, Wall-E has a series of comics that function as a prequel. Comics that are incredibly hard to get your hands on. Seriously, even the records of the existence of the 8 volumes are only found in some old pages, and the vast majority of postings on the internet no longer exist. There is no digital version, and you can only find them if you know exactly what you are looking for. Rely on vendors in stores not affiliated with Disney, and you're willing to wait several months for them to arrive. These comics came out a year after the release of the video game and movie, and while I haven't been able to read them, we can extract the story through a few images that we can find on the internet, reviews, and the descriptions of each volume. We have then 4 independent stories from volume 0 to volume 3 and a wide arc that occupies volumes 4 to 8. Volume 0 is a short story of our Wall-E along with 2 other units. Here, Wall-E is much better preserved than the others, and the story shows us that he doesn't actually do much work, but rather spends his time collecting things. One of his companions is deactivated, and this puts into perspective that none of them are indestructible. In Volume 1 we see a more hard-working but lonely Wall-E, and it has a Christmas theme. In Volume 2, Wall-E hides in a storm in a supermarket, and finds things that look like treasures to him. At the beginning, by the way, he sees a mirror, and gets excited thinking it's another Wall-E. In Volume 3 we see how Wall-E and the cockroach became friends. Volumes 4 through 8 is the story of how an astronaut arrives on Earth, only to discover that all the humans are gone. There, it is Wall-E's responsibility to help him return. It turns out that those 4 volumes took place before the first 4, so there we get to see 3 other Wall-E units, and a robot who functions as their boss and antagonist in this story arc. We're called Wall-E. This is an extremely controlling robot, who has the terrible ability to permanently disable any robots he wishes just by touching their heads. Thus we have a clear narrative. At some point, the army of Wall-Es that was supposed to clean up the Earth was reduced to just 4. Of these, after the human arrived on Earth and after the confrontation with Wall-E, there were 3 left, including our Wall-E. Of these 3, 2 were deactivated due to lack of maintenance, leaving only our Wall-E. And now that we have all the pieces of the puzzle, we can finally answer the question of this video. There is no singular reason why only Wall-E survived, as seen in the video game, rather it was a mixture of factors. Most Wall-Es died due to lack of maintenance, sandstorms and accidents. Over time, Wall-E failed, becoming more and more controlling, and it is evident that he is responsible for disabling several Wall-Es. Once WALL-E is deactivated, only 3 WALL-Es remain, of which our WALL-E is the only one left alive, thanks to his great self-preservation instinct he has along with his personality and conscience, something the others don't have, who only work until they are deactivated, while our WALL-E doesn't work as hard and repairs himself every time something happens. So I hope you liked this video, like it if you did, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And without anything else to say, remember to eat your veggies and make your bed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!